This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
The Virtual Grip Network and the Bootleg Racing League welcome you to the Dirt Street Stock Series. I'm Austin Belke alongside Marty Sakala in the commentary booth, and Mike Yao is in the production trailer. After last week's exciting inaugural race in Port Royal, we're past Aruba and Jamaica, and we've stopped at Kokomo. Hopefully you got the reference. Marty, what can you tell us about this track?
First off, I absolutely do get the reference. I think the big thing you got to know about Kokomo, that it's very tight, quarter of a mile long. However, though, the track is very wide. High side is one of the fastest places around. If you can roll through the corners perfectly, you can get the low side to work with the bite with the street stocks. Any groove is possible here tonight in the place they call Kokomo. I think we've got a fun race in stock for tonight.
You can see some of the features of Kokomo Speedway on your screen right now. 69 degrees. Nice temperature for these drivers. 52% humidity, partly cloudy. That track temperature expected to drop as the night goes on. You can see quarter-mile track like you mentioned. And Marty, it's typical dirt style. We're going to have heat races. The heat start out as 6 laps each. The top 2 cars transfer automatically into that 40-lap feature event. But if you don't make the show that way, not to fret, there's a C main and a B main, and we'll go ahead and fill out the rest of the field with the finishing order from those 2 main races. Of course, taking only 18 drivers into the feature event. It looks like we have quite a few people on hand for tonight, so we might be sending a couple guys home.
Car count is set at 18 at the moment, so we'll see if anyone else joins here. We're just a couple of moments away from getting time trials underway, just about 7 minutes out from going there. But you take a look and see how the track state is at the moment. Everyone's going on the low side. You see the track is very slick up top, so could see this low line being the place to go unless you've got a slicker setup here for tonight, or know how to run with a track is slicker rather.
Yeah, certainly. You'll have a lot of drivers. Some drivers like to be on the low side. Steven Spies is one of those guys. He's a bottom feeder. Some people, John Hine, J.R. Shepard, especially Brandon Proudfoot and some of those other really fast guys, they like to be right up against that wall, just kind of barely hanging it out there, just flirting with disaster. So you can especially see on all these different screens, I think we do have the track degradation on. Mike Yao has that being displayed. You can see the bottom, that light brown tacky stuff. The tack, they call it, as John Hine, the professor, would. And then you got those marbles. That's the slick, Marty. Then right up by the wall, there's a little bit of tack. And as you get right up next to it, it's all that slick junk.
Absolutely. And one of the big things that the drivers are going to have to be careful about tonight here, once we get into the feature, is spiking it. If you go a little bit over the cushion, if we have a thick enough cushion, there's a good chance that drivers could definitely go over it and could send their cars out of control and then be on a wild ride.
Well, Marty, when you say on a wild ride, too, sometimes the cars here can even climb the fences and do what is considered a wall ride in skateboard terms.
Absolutely. We also call it ripping the fence and in the world of midget racing. So, yes, these cars are capable of going up on 2 wheels, sometimes on their sides, like what I just mentioned a couple moments ago. So will be interesting to see how risky the drivers take come feature time, where the best place is to go. Something else you got to keep in mind if you are a driver that likes to run the low line, you got to avoid the Uke tires, or as we call it in New York, the Tory tires. Very risky. I was doing some laps in practice before we got going with the broadcast, I should say. And you can set up the bottom perfectly. However, though, if you set it up a little bit too much, you could hit that front tire with the edge of the front bumper.
That's right, and before we went back to this on-car view, this is the roof looking over the hood. William Hargraves had actually gotten a piece of one of those inside tractor tires. They will certainly ruin your day. We're on a short track, so there's not a whole lot of aero on these cars. You don't really need to worry about downforce, but you certainly don't want to be biffing your car off those inside tractor tires. So unless you get your car set up just right in the middle where all that slick stuff is, it's going to be a treacherous ride for you.
And once again, it all depends on what kind of style you like when it comes to street stock racing. As a guy who got into iRacing using the dirt street stocks, obviously, I liked it where there was tacky stuff. I liked running wherever, there wasn't any rubber down, where it was not slick. But as I've gone through with experience, you got to turn right to go left, and that's how you can set it up with the slick stuff. And it's also really, too, about throttle control. We got to mention that as well. Who can get on the throttle first without spinning the rear tires, and who cannot spin out on their own once we get this track to being 90 to 100% slick tonight?
Certainly, loose is fast, but loose is also difficult to control, so that's why these guys flirt with disaster. You want to go through these corners, you want to be as straight as possible, but don't end up hitting that wall. That wall, as I always say, it's like a hot waitress at a sports bar. You can look at it, you can flirt with it, but don't be touching it.
Absolutely, that's for sure. This track kind of feels a little bit too like, when you think of it like I-55, one of the newer tracks we have on iRacing, simply because of how quick drivers go around that racetrack. Like, for example, you put a sprint car there, Kyle Larson could go around that track in 9 seconds. The tracks are similar lengths, but much bigger widths and much tighter corners. So you really want to have a perfect yaw to set up your entry in order to get back on the gas first on the exits.
Yeah, certainly. These guys are lapping this quarter-mile speedway in just about 15 seconds flat, there or thereabouts. You can see most of the field obviously chasing Zach Loomis's time. But, Marty, we always like to say, DJ and I, don't fret if you don't have a fast lap in practice.
Absolutely. We got a lot of chances tonight here throughout the night. If your car's not the best here in practice, you got some chance in qualifying. You got a chance to watch how other drivers are doing in heat races, get a look at where everyone's going, where the track is set right now at the moment to set your car up for maybe even the B main, or if you're going right into the feature.
Well, Marty, it's also that the track state evolves. It changes. When the practice opens, it's at a 0% track state. No cars have been on it, freshly, virtually watered down. As practice goes on, it gets more and more worn out. This is kind of a good example of what it's going to be like later. As soon as we hit qualifying, you'll see it on your monitor. You'll see all that slick and tack. It's going to go away. It's going to reset to 0% track state for qualifying. And then after that, it's going to keep progressing as the night goes on to get slicker and slicker. You're going to see these drivers really have to search around for grip.
Absolutely, it will be very tough to see what happens come feature time. If there's a guy that I'd probably want to count on later on in a run, maybe look at J.R. Shepard from his super late model runs that he's had on the asphalt on Saturdays, even though that's only a Saturday running we got going on. But maybe even Brandon Proudfoot. He's second quick right now and looking like one of the best with the slicker with the slicker car at the moment. He could be a big threat. Like, if he doesn't have one of the best heat races, if he's got it set up dialed in, if he's I shouldn't say setups, but like his driveline all set for the longer run, maybe he could be a big threat late in the race.
Yeah, certainly saw Grady Wade impact one of the inside tractor tires and then get hit by Neville Ulf in that 30 machine. You can see drivers still going on to and off the track for practice laps. I do look at J.R. Shepard to be one of the faster drivers tonight because he's so good at knowing how much power to apply and when. And how can you not count out the almost perennial champ Brandon Proudfoot? Second fastest time on the board. It's really hard to tell when these drivers all get into the session. I see Brandon was the fourth to last to connect, so obviously you see him out there about 1/100th of a second behind Loomis's time. It's hard to know when either of those drivers got out there. You can see the track time already slowing down even Loomis's last lap time, about 5 or 6 tenths of a second off his fastest, but practice is winding down.
Checkers are out on practice while we were at it. Zachary Loomis ends up the quickest at a 14.8. That's Proudfoot 14.81 and Billy Northcutt third, 14.85. Let's get some time trials going here.
Yep, you're going to see that track set restate. There we go. That was it right on the screen. Thank you, Mike, for that awesome picture. So the track has been completely reset and watered down. This is the tackiest going to be from the start. All get out. Zachary Loomis, Neville Alf immediately jump out onto the track. There's your championship point standings. Brandon Proudfoot with a hefty, about 59-point lead over William Hargraves. Billy Northcutt trails William by about 5 points. Then you've got Jeffrey Harden, Hunter Hill, Bobby Hayes, and J.R. Shepard behind all those drivers. J.R. Shepard was right up there in the championship mix, but unfortunately had to take a week off. There are no drop weeks in BRL competition.
Watching Jeffrey Harden here on lap number 1. He'll be the one that sets the bar at a 15.17 at the moment.
Out there, he is ripping the lip, but Marty, it's so important to be cautiously optimistic about just how close you can get to that wall, because just barely a nibble, just barely tapping it gets you a 0x. As soon as you get a 0x, iRacing invalidates your lap time.
Absolutely, that's going to be one of the big things you got to keep in mind. Robbie Robinson goes up to third. Checking out Joe Segala here across the line, sounding a little bit slower on lap number 2.
Zach Loomis with a purple lap time.
Yeah, 14.97 puts that one up on the boards.
In case you're new to this whole colored bars at the bottom of your screen, there's 3 different colors they can be after a driver puts down a lap time. A green means a driver's personal best for that sector. Of course, Sector 1 is turns 1 and 2. Sector 2 is turns 3 and 4. Yellow means below their fastest time, but maybe not slow. And a purple means the fastest sector that we've seen all session. Currently, those fastest sectors held by, I believe at the moment, Jeffrey Harden for Sector 1, Zach Loomis for Sector 2. You can see some guys just now getting out on track. A lot of drivers have yet to put down a lap. William Hargraves jumps up to P2 on the timesheets.
Got a chance to improve his lap. He's better in sector number 1, but I think he's deciding to call it off here.
Marty, it's really interesting to see which drivers go out there and put down their fast laps immediately. Maybe they take the first 2, then they go into the pits, and then later in the session they come back out to do the rest of them. Northcutt, Hargraves, guys like that, they'll go out, they'll lay down 2 fast laps, go back into the pits for a while, see what's going down.
Absolutely. Bobby Hayes working on his final lap.
Jason Mende out there with a brand new scheme, kind of reminiscent of some of those early Datsun schemes, much different than his regular black and red colors. Brandon Proudfoot now out on the track. Definitely expect him to jump up to the top of the timesheets. Billy Northcutt goes third fastest, then is pit for third by J.R. Shepard.
And here we go with Shepard, by the way.
Oh, that 968 should put Proudfoot.
Quick time.
Yeah, sorry about it. Proudfoot jumps up to the absolute top of the board. J.R. Shepard out there putting down some personal bests. We'll see if it's good enough to beat Proudfoot's lap. That was an absolute flyer. He's a whole 1/10 of a second plus up on Zach Loomis's best lap time. Billy Northcutt out there to put down some more laps. Got the always aggressive Chris Davis. Brandon Proudfoot out there putting down some more flyers. Doesn't go faster that time by. See if anyone else can best those times. You got Davis, Northcutt, Shepard, Proudfoot out there at the moment. Those are the last drivers so far yet to take time this session in qualifying. John Wilson and Christopher Hill. John Wilson recently just timed out of the session. Brandon Proudfoot puts down an even faster lap time by about 2/100ths of a second.
William Hargraves, the last guy on track, currently third quick at a 15.05.
Billy Northcutt trying to put down a couple more flyers if he can. That last one wasn't fast enough to move him up the timing sheets at all, but we'll see if he has one more left in him. You're looking now at the 71 car, William Hargraves, currently third fastest on the timing sheets. Neither of those drivers able to put down a faster lap. You see the number 100 car out there. That is Christopher Hill. I should say the number 5. Might have to change that as the session goes on. We'll see what kind of time he can put down.
It should be his only lap coming up here, if not the final lap for him. I think this will be the only lap he'll be able to lay down here.
Crosses a stripe for a 15.579. That's going to put him 17th fastest for right now. Unfortunately for him, that's the only lap he'll get. That's the end of qualifying. Marty, it looks like we have 20 drivers in the session, but only 19 currently on the service. Heat number 1, Brandon Proudfoot's on pole, followed by J.R. Shepard to his outside. Brendan Myers lines up in third, and Robbie Robinson rounds out the top 4, Marty.
Hunter Hill and Neville Ulf, row number 3. Michael Menace starts from the rear of heat number 1 in 7th position. Keep in mind, this is the battle for pole position tonight.
It certainly is. The first 2 finishers from this heat are automatically going to start 1st and 4th, I believe, for the feature event later tonight. So there's a lot riding on the line, especially considering 1 to 2 drivers automatically, unfortunately, going to have to go home at the end of this. So we're going to see what line Brandon chooses. Looks like he's going to take the high side.
Absolutely. You see there, he's trying to dust the top off early, trying to get that faster line to work early on here. Of course,
dust the top off early. I like that terminology, Marty. He's going to go to the outside, gives J.R. Shepard the bottom. I don't know if J.R. Shepard's too afraid right now, because obviously one of those drivers, he's pretty comfortable on the inside, Marty. I feel like both top and bottom of the track are going to be pretty even for the time being, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Oh, J.R. Shepard's comfortable anywhere, whether it be the top or the bottom of the racetrack. This front row will be fun to watch here tonight as we're about to go green.
Brandon Proudfoot puts his foot on the lob pedal. J.R. Shepard on the inside has to turn the wheel a little bit more, forces his car to get just a tad bit loose there on the bottom. They're going to be dead even as they come out of turn number 1, but momentum shifts to Brandon Proudfoot on the high side.
Be interesting how he's already going to the bottom, wants to take his time off on the outside, unless he decides high side in 1 and 2 is the key. Low line 3 and 4 seems to be the place for Brandon Proudfoot at the moment. Remember, we're only taking 2 to the feature. Everyone else going down to the last chance showdowns we've got coming up.
Yeah, Robbie Robinson just barely got to the back end of Brendan Myers there as we see contact between Neville Ulf and Robbie Robinson. It looks like quite a bit of door banging there.
Absolutely. Just taking a look real quick and seeing what happened. It was a lot of door banging with the 56 of Robinson and just enough force for Neville to go around.
Unfortunate for those 2 drivers. These guys fighting, they are fighting for third, so they won't automatically advance to the feature event, but of course this is the opportunity to start on pole for one of the 2 C or B mains, those last chance qualifiers as we call them.
Absolutely. Robinson looking like he's trying to run a lower line compared to Brendan Myers out there, trying to send it a little bit more early on. Looking at the lap times last time by, Myers was 4/10 better. That time Robinson closed in 3/10 and had his best lap of the race on the final lap.
Checkered flag in the air for Brandon Proudfoot. He's going to cross the start-finish line first, nab the win here in heat number 1. J.R. Shepard follows him to round out the 2 drivers automatically advancing to the feature affair. Brandon Myers comes home in 3rd to round out the podium. Robbie Robinson comes home in 4th, Marty.
So we get set to go here for heat race number 2. This will determine the outside pole sitter here for tonight. 7 drivers in this heat race. It's Zach Loomis and Billy Northcutt on row number 1, and then Chris Davis, Jason Menda, row 2, Austin.
Kevin Davis starts in 5th, followed by Chris Hill to his outside. John Wilson rounds out your 7-car field. Good to see John back into the server for this race.
Absolutely, for sure. So we'll see if Davis can make a charge. You know, I watch him a lot on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I broadcast there on Thursday nights. He does a lot of the modified racing. Nothing with the wings or the late models. As long as it's easy and simple to drive, he'll normally go for it.
You see John Wilson just barely buzzer beating it into the heat race here. Those drivers had to wait on the grid for him to load into the session, so glad to have him with us for this heat race. iRacing pace truck pulls off. We'll see which side of the track Zach Lewis wants to start on. It looks like he's going to choose the inside for the time being, but he has the first pace lap to go ahead and choose that.
Interesting to see here for Loomis to choose the bottom line. Normally you get some bite there off the corner, but the big risk you take is spinning the tires when you come to the green flag. I think Loomis knows something that we don't.
Well, to be honest, Marty, as the pole sitter, you get to start the race as long as the pace truck is off the track and you're in turn 4 or exiting turn 4. So he can always choose to steer down the track and put his foot on the loud pedal. He should hopefully get away from the field. We're going to see what he does here. The car is round through turns 3 and 4. Loomis puts his foot on the loud pedal. That was a mega start from him. We'll see if he continues to go ahead and run on the bottom. It looks like he is. We'll see what Billy Northcutt can do on the high side, though. He's going to have a lot of momentum.
Davis is a round off in turn number 2. Looks like he got some contact in the middle of turn 1 with John Wilson. And a battle for
Billy Northcutt gets to the inside here, the 37 car of Loomis. Loomis is going to go up to the wall. We'll see what kind of run he can get off the corner. Northcutt was very nice there to go ahead and let Loomis run against the wall.
That's Chris Hill that went side over side in turn number 3, but still focused on that battle for the race lead as Loomis has it. Rode the wall last lap, but still did not lose some speed. And now Northcutt wants that transfer spot on the outside. Stevie, that's Jason Menda.
Yeah, Jason Menda on the top there in that 45 car. Billy Northcutt has been searching around for any grip possible to see if he can't catch up to the back of Loomis there. You see him now being hassled by Jason Menda. Of course, just behind Menda is the always aggressive Chris Davis in the 7 car.
15-second lap last time for Loomis. In fact, it was a 14.998. But now Chris Davis wants that pole position in the B main, or rather second in the B main. Final lap underway here.
Yeah, white flag in the air. Looks like Zach Loomis is going to take this one. So far, Billy Northcutt going to hold on to the second position. Loomis comes through turns 4 to take the checkered flag in heat number 2. He's followed, of course, by Billy Northcutt. Those two automatically transferring to the feature. Jason Menda, Chris Davis, John Wilson, Kevin Davis, and Chris Hill going to round out the field.
One more heat race here left to go. Will determine the inside of row number 2 for the winner.
William Hargraves lines up on pole for heat number 3. Jeffrey Harden starts to his outside. Bobby Hayes rolls off in 3rd. Dylan Corey completes the 2nd row, Marty.
Joe Segala and Grady Ray to round out row number 3 as they're just about ready to roll off.
We'll see what lane William Hargraves chooses to restart in. So far, he's on the bottom. I feel like the bottom for right now is pretty racy, this track, quite even. I feel like you're pretty good no matter which lane you want to start in.
Absolutely. Both crews have been really working well early here. If you're looking at the state of the track is looking like it's at a medium state. Got to be careful going in the middle of the corners because that's got some chocolate chips, as I like to call it, on there. But the high side and the low side are showing the grooves at the moment as it starts to slicken up here.
Yeah, they look like chocolate chips. They behave more like marbles. You really start to slide around in the middle of the track. You really want to be on the absolute top or the absolute bottom. iRacing pace truck pulls off the track. William Hargraves leads the cars through turns 3 and 4. He gets to start the race whenever he sees fit. Puts his foot on the lotto pedal. He's going to get away from Jeffrey Harden quite substantially by the time they enter turns 1 and 2. Hargraves is going to choose the bottom. Leaves Hargraves the top. Hargraves got the wall pretty hard that time.
Yeah, bad start for Harden there. In fact, for the entire outside line, they were caught sleeping by Hargraves there when we took the green flag. Look at that up in the wall. That is Grady Wade. And we got
Bobby Hayes gets put up in the wall.
That was, I think, some cars hooked there off at turn number 4. Hayes just got hooked from the 6 of Dylan Corey, and they just lost all their momentum and a lot of damage to Bobby Hayes as Hargraves now has a 1.6 second lead on Harden.
Yeah, and more importantly, Harden has about a 1.5 second lead over his teammate Joe Segala. Segala, of course, fighting with Dylan Corey in the 6 car. That's that 2-car battle you see on your screen. Just behind those drivers is Grady Wade.
And Segala trying to rebound, but having a tough time doing so. Dylan Corey up to 3rd. It's a 3-car jam session for the spot. Look at Wade trying to ride the wall like kind of like Norm Benning in the truck race at Outdoor a couple years ago.
Yeah, kind of like Carl Edwards at, I believe, Las Vegas a couple years ago, or Kyle Larson at Darlington last fall. He's just kind of got that car up in the wall for the second half of the quarter. You can see him stuff that thing in the fence one more time. White flag in the air, though, for William Hargraves. He's going to come through turns 3 and 4 this time by and take the checkered flag here for heat number 3. Jeffrey Harden absolutely uncontested as well for the second transfer spot into the feature event. Dylan Corey going to finish in third, followed by Joe Segala, Grady Wade. Bobby Hayes, unfortunately, didn't finish the race after that damage he sustained on that first lap. So, Marty, we're going to get set here for the first of 2 last chance qualifiers.
Absolutely. We're taking the winner here from the looks of it and putting them in the feature. So here is how the lineup looks for our C main. Brennan Myers, Dylan Corey on row number 1. Then you got Chris Davis and Hunter Hill, row number 2.
Grady Wade lines up in 5th, followed by Kevin Davis in 6th. Neville Ulf rounds out your 7-car field. Marty, we've got 20 starters for tonight. Simple math would say we can only take 18, so that's going to be 1 eliminated in each one of these last chance qualifiers.
Absolutely, you're correct. We are taking 6. You do not want to be the odd man out of this one, that's for sure.
No, it's the worst feeling in the world where you go ahead and clear your calendar for an event like this and you go through the qualifying, the practice, and the last chance qualifier. Unfortunately, you just don't end up making the cut. You have to watch the race just like us up here in either the commentary box or down in the stands.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like me whenever I try to race a street stock on iRacing.
Brendan Myers lines up on the pole. Looks like he's going to choose the inside here. We'll have to see which line he continues to use as the race goes on. It looks like he'll probably try ripping the bottom for the most part, but we'll have to see. The iRacing pace truck going to pull off into the pits this time by. Gives command of the field over to the 25 of Brendan Myers. He's going to choose the inside. It's up to him for when he wants to restart the race. Puts his foot on the throttle pedal. That was an extremely strong start there from the 6 car of Dylan Corey. Both those 2 drivers going to go up to the top side. Corey gets into the wall, but a much better exit from him. Look at Chris Davis on the bottom.
Absolutely, 3 wide, trying to take advantage of that mishap. Nearly 4 wide off at turn number 4. Look out! Hunter Hill got bumped for a moment on the exit of the corner and nearly went sideways.
Yeah, Kevin Davis gave Hunter Hill a pretty good shot down the front stretch. They're door banging down the back between the 12 of Hill, the 7 of Davis, and the 25 car of Myers.
Ooh, hang on there, Chris Davis got up in the wall as well. I think there was some contact with Kevin Davis, but this is a wild race right now. Look at Grady Wade for that final spot on Neville Ulf.
Yeah, the battle for right now of who gets left out in the stands but now it's up to 3 cars: Kevin Davis, Grady Wade, and Neville Ulf.
This is amazing. 3 wide in the center of the corners. Kevin got a beautiful drive on the exit of the corner, and he put the bumper on Brendan Myers. Could that slow down Kevin? No, it doesn't.
Now Brendan Myers is on a charge to get back up to the field as fast as he can right now, trying to work on Chris Davis. He just doesn't really possess a whole lot of center corner speed in that car. Whoa, as you see Grady Wade shove it into the corner.
Big send for Grady. Oh, he got Kevin Davis's rear quarter panel. Keeps it going. They'll let off the gas, luckily, and you see Neville switch lines up to the top shelf, but he's losing some time. Now Brendan Myers is in the bubble.
Yeah, Grady Wade giving a pretty big shot there to the 21 car of Kevin Davis. 3 wide across the stripe.
These guys are all trying to hold on and survive. Their cars are all driving terrible at the moment. Here comes Neville underneath Grady.
Yeah, these guys, just a bunch of hornet's nests under this blanket here. 4 cars under a blanket. They're all fighting to not be the last man out of this race.
Neville's got to send it in here if he wants a shot at a transfer spot. He could be in trouble, maybe Brendan Myers.
Yeah, to send it in right now would just be an act of desperation, unfortunately, and a penalty if you're caught out and you unfortunately wreck somebody. Hunter Hill going to go ahead and take the checkered flag in this race, nearly beating out Dylan Corey. Unfortunately, we didn't watch the battle for the lead. Our eyes are mostly on the one driver that unfortunately doesn't end up making the field. You can see Chris Davis in 3rd, Kevin Davis in 4th, Brendan Myers 5th, Grady Wade. Unfortunately, Neville Ulf going to be the one driver that has to go home for this evening. Jason Menda is on pole for the 2nd last chance qualifier. Robbie Robinson starts in 2nd. Joe Segala starts in 3rd with John Wilson starting out in 4th, Marty.
Michael Menace starting 5th, Bobby Hayes the 3rd and 6th, Chris Hill in 7th. A bunch of those guys, remember, they were the drivers that came from the C-Main.
Yeah, a lot of fast guys in this heat as well. Unfortunately for these drivers, one of them is also going to have to go home. Go the same way as Neville Ulf. Currently, it looks like Robbie Robinson wants to start down on the inside. Or excuse me, Jason Menda wants to start on the high side. He is the pole sitter for this event, so he's going to force Robinson down there to the inside of the track.
We'll see here, every single line at this moment is possible. Just looking here, it looks like that high side's starting to slicken up just a bit compared to the lower groove.
Menda puts his foot on the loud pedal. Pretty good start for him as they go into turns 1 and 2.
You see on the outside, John Wilson had to get off the gas because Robinson wanted to get back on the apex on the exit of the corner. Behind them, 3 wide for that final transfer spot. Hang on, that's the 32 that got sideways. Michael Menace, and now we got contact. Zagala losing a lot of momentum there, and it's likely coming down to him and Chris Hill for that transfer spot.
Yeah, he and Chris Hill got extremely sideways there coming off of turn number 1. And John Wilson was extremely nice there to Robbie Robinson. Robbie slid up to the top lane. John backed out of the throttle, make sure that Robbie could get off the corner like he needed to. You see Chris Hill getting really sideways there off of turn 2. Almost getting into the door there of Bobby Hayes in the 13 car. It looks like the battle for the last transfer spot might be between Bobby Hayes and Joe Segala.
Yeah, but this high side is everyone's going to be locked into. So if I'm Bobby Hayes, I got to come up right now on Joe Segala. But the issue is Chris Hill is still stuck to that outside as Hayes cannot get any bite off the corner.
Yeah, if I'm Bobby Hayes right now, I'm either going to want to check up just a little bit slotted behind Christopher Hill or just throw a dirt nasty slider. Oh, contact.
And that's going to help out Joe Segala for sure. Try and get in the thick of things. Can he get Hayes in the line? He can't.
John Wilson here looking at the inside of Robbie Robinson. They're right now fighting over the 2nd position while all these drivers do advance to the feature, so good on them. There's still points to be awarded, and the better you finish in this race means the better you start for the feature event.
Segala went a little bit too wide in 3 and 4 and almost turned Hayes around. Segala takes away 6 at the white flag.
Yeah, white flag in the air. Unfortunately for Bobby Hayes, it looks like he's going to be the lone soul left out of this race, set to join Neville Ulf in the grandstands. Jason Menda going to come home to take the checkered flag. Here comes off turn 4 to win the B-Main Last Chance Qualifier. Robbie Robinson going to come home in 2nd.
Bobby's got to send it here.
Segala got tight off the corner, but Bobby Hayes just wasn't quite close enough to take advantage of that. That being mixed with having the car in the middle there, not quite what he wanted to see to make sure he could continue his night. John Wilson finishes 3rd. Michael Means finishes 4th. Chris Hill 5th. Joe Segala 6th. Bobby Hayes, unfortunately, does not advance to the final session. Marty, we're in for a 5-minute warm-up now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the drivers want to get into. Either the big key for drivers to test where their car is at the best, or if they want to go to another groove to try and figure out, or at the same time try and prevent any tack from being down there. Noticing here the bulk of the drivers at this moment, Austin, running. Actually, you know what? It's probably just about 50-50 at the moment. So any groove is possible, but it seems likely that once we get into this long run, the high side will be the place to be.
I definitely think you're right, Marty. What do you say we go ahead and dial up one of the drivers for the session? I'm going to go ahead and pull William Hargraves in here, driver the number 71 car. William, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
William, we've seen this track change quite a bit since you guys came out here for especially your heat race alone. What are the differences you're seeing?
Oh, it's definitely slickening off since I've been out here for sure. That middle line seems to be coming in, and I'm sure top line's going to burn in pretty nice too. Should hopefully even out and make for some good racing.
Certainly. William, are sliders on order for tonight?
Oh, most definitely. That's definitely probably one of the best ways to pass here if you get a chance. It's just going to be a matter of being able to carry the momentum after the slider to see if you can take the spot over or not.
So now, if you're the leader and you get lane choice right as the leader, are you going to be starting on the inside or the outside for the entire race, or might it change about halfway through? It might kind of invert itself.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a good possibility of that. As far as it is right now, I guess if I had the opportunity, I'm going to take the bottom for now and see what happens, but till it's not there or whatever. But it definitely could be a top restart line for sure.
For sure. William, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Best of luck in the race, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Marty, what'd you say we go ahead and you dial up Chris Davis here?
Absolutely. Let's see if we can get Chris on in here. Chris, it's Marty and Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
I gotcha. What's going on, man?
Well, Chris, fifth quick, but first off, I want to ask how much fun has this night been at Kokomo, considering the multiple grooves we have had here in the heats?
I gotta tell you what, right now I'm busier than a one-armed hanger.
Got a handful, I'm assuming, at the moment?
Oh yeah, like, you know what? I think the bottom line is gonna be the place to be right now. Like, I'm finding it a bit faster. Please don't share that with anybody else, but that's what I'm thinking.
You technically are sharing that to the viewers we have on Virtual Grip Network. So, but anyway, just what are the big keys to try and get to victory here in 40 laps?
I'm sorry, come again?
What are the keys to victory tonight to try and get to victory lane in 40 laps?
You know what? It's stay out of trouble, and in this league, it can be easy to avoid trouble because people here race with a whole lot of respect. You know, like people call me Mr. Aggressive, and that's probably pretty accurate. But overall, I think people try to race hard but race clean. And so not getting into wrecks is going to be key.
All right. Well, we'll let you go. Best of luck tonight, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Talk to you soon.
That was Chris Davis in the 7 car. Marty, thank you so much for talking to Chris.
Absolutely. Very interesting perspective there for Chris. I'm going to take an opportunity to just ride on board with him for a little bit and see how the hands are going there. And if you look closely, obviously he is turning right to go left, but he's got like a handful going to the right and then trying to find any way to keep it straight. You see what he's doing. He's just trying to find some bite, trying to get some of that cold mud on the exit of the corners to just find some groove and then just set himself up for the entries. He's trying to outside line, but I think Chris is right. That high side does not look to be the best for him.
Yeah, certainly not. Riding on board here with Jason Mendy, you can see just how busy inside the car he is. You can see the wheels moving all the way to the left, to all the way back to the right, getting into the wall just a little bit there on corner exit. Got to make sure you keep that to a minimum. Sometimes you can ride the wall. There's a lot of speed we gain doing that. Not the most sportsmanlike thing to do, but again, it is a possibility. iRacing doesn't police that, unfortunately, so not the most realistic thing in the world to do. In real life, of course, you might fatigue some parts or cut down a tire. Regardless, though, we now have the starting lineup order for your 40-lap feature event. Brandon Proudfoot starts on pole, followed by Zach Loomis to his outside. William Hargraves lines up in third, followed by J.R. Shepard in fourth. The third row is comprised of Billy Northcutt and Jeffrey Harden. Hunter Hill and Jason Mendy complete the fourth row, followed by Dylan Corey and Robbie Robinson in 10th. Marty.
Chris Davis, John Wilson making up row number 6. Kevin Davis, Michael Menace, row 7. Brennan Myers, Chris Hill in row number 8. We don't have Grady Way yet, but we should expect him shortly. And he has not called to grid, so Joe Segala with the final starting spot, this time in 17th.
Cars are rolling off. We'll now look to Brandon Proudfoot in the 22 car to see which lane he chooses to start in. For right now, he's going to choose the outside. Still running behind the iRacing pace car. 1 lap now to green.
Something that should be interesting as well, keep in mind, the sun's starting to set here at Kokomo. There's a big glare in the exit of turn number 2. Yes, it's set behind the grandstands, but that could be a big factor for the drivers tonight.
Certainly, it might add some additional glare on the bottom of the track as it starts to get slicker and slicker. Brandon Proudfoot leads the field through turns 3 and 4. Zach Loomis to his inside. Proudfoot fires off extremely early there for Loomis. Loomis kind of kept out on that one. Quite surprised J.R. Shepard trying to roll the top. We'll see if Loomis... Oh, they're wrecking in the back extremely sideways. Not a caution thus far.
They were 4 wide at one time. Some drivers having issues with yaw. 3 wide in a battle for 4th position. That's Shepard, Hargraves, and Hardin at the moment. Couple drivers riding the wall. Shepard's got 3rd for right now.
Yeah, for the moment, that battle for the 4th position is between Northcutt on the inside and Jeffrey Hardin on the outside. It looks like 2 cars getting into each other on the bottom out of turn 4. It looks like Myers and Joe Segala. We'll see if they can sort it out before the field comes back around to avoid a caution. You can see Hargraves battling with his Dirt Panda Racing teammate Northcutt on the very bottom of the track just ahead of Jeffrey Hardin.
Oh, and you gotta be careful here. Hargraves may be getting turned off the 45 bumper of Menda. Nope, he keeps it going. You gotta look at Shepard though. He's got a challenger. Northcutt's got the bottom working and cannot edge him at the line.
Yeah, Northcutt's been really eating up J.R. Shepard here in the corners the last couple laps. J.R. Shepard going to power on by him on the outside. Doesn't look like Northcutt's able to do on the inside what Shepard can do on the outside. And the biggest thing I see for Shepard is he's not having to bounce the car off the outside wall like you see Proudfoot getting way up there. And of course, that time by, Shepard gets just a piece of it, but that's not enough to slow down his momentum. Now just behind Northcutt is his teammate there, 71 car William Hargraves.
Ooh. Just got a little bit too loose off of turn number 4. That's what cost him all of his momentum. Caution for Kevin Davis.
Yeah, caution out on the speedway. Caution laps do not count, so we're going to have 40 green flag laps. This is the cause for caution here.
He was riding the bottom side, didn't have any yaw in it at all. Just led to the car just getting tight. I think that was some net code from the looks of it between him and Billy Northcutt.
I don't think that was Billy Northcutt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe that would have been...
I got a different number here. You're right.
Yeah, no worries. I think that's Christopher Hill. iRacing has him as being the 5 car, but unfortunately that iRacing paint showing him as being the 100 machine.
Yeah, you're correct. It is Chris Hill.
Right now, Marty, yeah, I'm really liking the way the high side looks. Proudfoot's been choosing the high side, and although you'll never be able to beat him by just following him, I got to say, always stick to what Proudfoot's doing. If he's up top, you better get your butt up top because that's where all the speed in the car is. J.R. Shepard was doing a phenomenal job to go ahead and hold off Billy Northcutt while he was using the bottom. So I look for the high side to still be strong. We'll see what they can do. If you're on the top side right now, you're thinking you're lucky stars. If you're on the inside, you are plotting right now, hoping one driver on the outside doesn't get a good start and you can slot back up in there in front of them.
And I've been looking at the corner of my eye. Loomis trying to close in on Proudfoot with that bottom, but hasn't been working out just yet as we're back to green.
Yeah, what Loomis is trying to do, he's trying to back up the car. Of course, if you're on iRacing on a single monitor, it's very hard.
John Wilson. Just a big stack up on that restart and some contact off of Michael Manesi. You'll see it here in turn number 1. Manesi just had to check up. I don't think he expected John Wilson to be that slow entering the corner.
No, certainly not. I think Wilson was trying to take an earlier apex than Michael, so Michael just got into Wilson there, spinning him around. That's going to do an inversion of the 3rd and 4th position. That puts Billy Northcutt in 3rd on the bottom, J.R. Shepard at 4th. He'll be on the top. And Marty, I think what Loomis was doing, I can't confirm this, but I believe in iRacing, you know, if you have a single monitor, you're trying to back up so you can see that car on the right side of you. Of course, these drivers are biased to the left, so it's a lot easier to see out the left side of the windshield than it is on the right. So what he's trying to do, he's trying to back up the car so he can see when Proudfoot fires.
Absolutely. I do that all the time as well. I have an ultra-wide monitor at home, not a 32:9, a 16:9, or 21:9 rather. And it's very tough to try and time these restarts if you are the guy on the front row that's not the control car. Especially if you're on the inside like Loomis is. They're going to come through turns 3 and 4 this time by.
Proudfoot puts his foot on the loud pedal. Extremely strong start there from J.R. Shepard. He's going to be alongside, just barely the outside of Loomis. We're going to see what he can do as they exit turn 2 here. Loomis with a very good exit off the bottom. He's not going to come up and cover J.R. Shepard on the top, but unfortunately for he and Billy Northcutt, they're going to have to really get a move on there in the bottom.
Shepard trying everything to get up to second spot. You don't need as much yaw as you do on the bottom, which is how Loomis is trying to increase the gap just a little bit. Hargraves as well, trying to close on in. Same with Billy Northcutt. Great racing amongst the front of the field.
Oh yeah, Loomis is being very cordial to Shepard, as is Northcutt. All these guys super clean racing here up at the front, giving each driver maybe not just barely a lane like usual, maybe a lane and a half tonight, but of course we're still only on lap number 12. We've got about 75% of the race left in 3 laps.
Absolutely, completely early race, and now Shepard's starting to feel the wrath of Hargraves for the bottom step of the podium. He tries inside as Menda's up in the wall. No yaw from him, but Hargraves has a run.
Hargraves going to go all the way down to the bottom. He's going to try for a slider. J.R. Shepard going to see it coming. Doesn't drive down to the bottom of the track to try and cross him over. He's going to allow Hargraves to take the bottom. Hargraves, of course, didn't come all the way up to block J.R. Shepard's run. Unfortunately for Hargraves, he got extremely, I don't know if that was a loose or a tight condition, but just didn't get a good enough run off the corner at turn 4. Does the same thing in turn 2, and now Jason Menda is to his outside as well, so he's going to have to be careful. He's not downside on the bottom for too long here.
Yeah, that was a bad exit for William Hargraves. May have put him in no man's land, perhaps. Depends on how both Shepard, Menda, and Northcutt drive the corners at the moment. And now Loomis is facing the pressure because Proudfoot's pulled away by about 2 seconds, and Shepard may have a run on the outside.
Yeah, JR keeps getting a pretty good run here on the outside. He's forced to check up the last couple laps just before getting into the corner. This time by Loomis goes ahead and takes the top side. J.R. Shepard just barely off the wall allows Jason Menda to just barely get up to his outside. Unfortunately, though, for Jason, you saw him kind of just biff it off the wall a couple times, sort of blunting his momentum.
Hargraves almost had second spot there, but the big issue is he can't get that bite off the corners, can't get that rear bite. Like, I mean, I'll give you an example. The World of Outlaws, when they're in Wheatsport, I was there covering that race. David Gravel had a lot of bite at the exit of turn number 4. There was some moist dirt there, and that's how he was able to close in on Donnie Schatz. But Hargraves, that really did cost him. He's all the way back to 5th.
Yeah, it certainly did, just because that high line much more dominant than the inside. This time by Loomis chooses the inside. And Marty, it's a lot harder to go ahead and put the throttle down when you've got much more wheel into the car because you're on the bottom.
Yeah, and just looking at it as well, that low side, I don't see any tack in that anymore. Like, if you look there, there's normally an apron on the bottom, and there's just nothing anymore. I think everyone's going to be switching to the tie side here shortly.
Yeah, in 1 and 2, you've got about a car width of that tack, and then in 3 and 4, it looks like you could maybe get your left front down there, but not so much any of the other 4 tires of the car. So the inside right now not really being the dominant line. J.R. Shepard continuing to rip the top. William Hargraves doing everything he can down there in the bottom. He's had a couple opportunities to get up the track and rip the lip, as they say, but he hasn't chosen any of them thus far in the race.
Yeah, and look at that Menda. Oh, he put the bumper on Hargraves. They both got loose. Somehow Hargraves didn't go around, and that's the risk I was kind of going to say there with Jason Menda. If he doesn't get any of that yaw on the outside line, the force of the wall could lead him into putting a bumper on another guy ahead of him, and we nearly saw a big consequence there. But the thing, though, with Menda, he really has to be careful about if his just game plan is to just rip the top and have to ride the wall. The big thing, that opening you see here in turn number 1, that has put a bite into one of the competitors' nights earlier tonight. I think it was Kevin Davis, if I recall correctly, in one of our heat races. But got to be very careful on that side, as Proudfoot's now in lap traffic. He's switched to the bottom side, I think, for the looks of it, and Loomis is just trying to follow him. Oh,
yeah, there's also another. Go ahead, Marty.
That's Joe Segala that got sideways. No caution, though, is out.
Brennan Myers continues to fight right alongside Jeffrey Hart and Chris Davis just behind both those drivers. We'll see what life is like, though, for Brandon Proudfoot. He's got a 2-second lead, though, Marty, so he doesn't really have to navigate traffic that fast to be too aggressive with the passes he puts on these cars. You see William Hargraves trying to look there to the inside of J.R. Shepard.
Hargraves is, I think he's trying to diamond the corners here, go high on entry and exit down on the bottom. This time he swaps to the middle groove, which is starting to get some traction, but just Shepard just keeps getting the clear here at the end of the circuit.
Yeah, much different compared to last week. J.R. Shepard really good through the center of the corner. For right now, it looks like Hargraves is much better off in the corner, but the way you race these dirt street stocks around Kokomo just isn't quite where you want to be. You need that center rotation speed in order to do well here. You see J.R. Shepard, though, he's catching up to the back of Joe Segala. It might be able to, if you're Hargraves, use Segala as a pick as we see another battle here on track. Brennan Myers versus Jeffrey Hart, 25 on 36.
And I should add, Shepard and Hargraves both are closing in on Loomis. Last time for JR was about a 10.5 better compared to Loomis. So this could be an interesting battle here for second in the closing laps. 9 to go, coming to 8 this time.
You saw J.R. Shepard like a scythe just kind of cut his way around Joe Segala there. Loomis to the inside still. J.R. Shepard around the top. J.R. Shepard obviously looking for the second step on the podium.
Absolutely, he's up 1 spot for the drop of the green flag. Speaking of biggest movers, Brennan Myers up 8 spots from 15th to 7th. He's having a great run tonight. Joe Segala up 5 spots from last to 13th, and you got Jason Menda up 3 from 8th to 5th. Here's the battle for 3rd, though.
Yeah, this looks like to be the battle for 6th position, excuse me, for the time being. You saw Harden and Myers just barely get together. These drivers still trying to find a way to get around Joe Segala, the lap car for the moment in the number 81 machine. Looking at J.R. Shepard in the 98. He's got a sizable gap up ahead of him to Loomis, and then a sizable gap behind. You can see those 2 drivers on your screen. To Hargraves behind him, 7/10 of freedom in either direction. 5 laps to go this time by.
It's been all Brandon Proudfoot tonight. He has had the best car throughout the night, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop him, even if we do get a late race yellow. 4 left.
Now, even if we got a caution at this point, I think Brandon Proudfoot, they're going to line up single file. He's just going to fire off the same great way he has been all night. Going to leave the field to sort it out amongst themselves. 2 seconds clear right now. If you're Proudfoot, you are not pushing this thing. You're just kind of going to get her home any which way you can. It doesn't matter if you blow your 2-second lead. That's why you got it.
He's been making that gap just constant. Once he had 2 seconds, don't lose too much, don't gain too much. Just leave it right there at 2 seconds with 2 to go.
Yeah, he's just on cruise control right now. Behind him, it's still Loomis, Shepard, Hargraves, Jason Menda, Billy Northcutt, Brennan Myers. How about this drive, though, from Brennan Myers up to the 7th position, all the way from 15th. He's had one heck of a drive tonight.
Yeah, final laps underway for Brandon Proudfoot. He's coming to the checkers.
Checkered flag in the air. Brandon Proudfoot comes through turns 3 and 4. He's going to win here at Kokomo Speedway. Zach Loomis comes home in 2nd. J.R. Shepard completes the podium. William Hargraves in 4th. Jason Menda 5th. Billy Northcutt 6th. Brendan Myers in 7th. Chris Davis 8th. Jeffrey Hart 9th. Hunter Hill in 10th, Marty.
11th, Robbie Robinson. 12th, John Wilson. 13th, Joe Segala. Not finishing the race, Dylan Corey 14th. Chris Hill 15th. Michael Monet 16th. Kevin Davis 17th. Grady Wade did not start the race.
Thanks, Marty. We're going to give these drivers some time to talk amongst themselves, get ahead up here in the Virtual Grip Network booth. We're going to take a quick commercial break and be right back. Don't click that mouse. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network as the BRL's Dirt Street Stock Series takes on Kokomo Speedway. Fresh off his win, we've got Brandon Proudfoot in the booth with us. Brandon, that one's got to be feeling pretty awesome. You just dominated that race.
Yeah, that one felt pretty good. It's very mobile track condition, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looked like you were really able to put the car wherever you wanted to, whether it was on the top or on the bottom. We saw you kind of changing where you were running.
Yeah, I really kind of got this win kind of came down to timing. This track was multi-lane for quite a bit throughout the night. During the heat races, I ran the top and everybody else ran the bottom, and that's kind of how it went through the entire night. And I just kind of stuck to my roots, ran the top like I chose throughout the beginning of the night. And as the wall started getting a little treacherous in 1 and 2, and I started pushing a little tight in 3 and 4, I decided to flip a light switch and do the other extreme.
Yeah, certainly. I made mention of it on the broadcast. If that 22 goes somewhere, you best be following him. You won't win the race by following him, but you might pass a couple cars in between you and him. And, of course, always would rather finish second than somewhere else in the field if I couldn't win the darn thing. Brandon, before I let you go, you're leading the points, obviously. Before I ask who you got to thank, this has got to be a pretty good momentum boost as you head into the last couple races here of the season.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a momentum boost and a little bit of a confidence boost, too. I've been on a little bit of a dry spell when it comes to actually being able to qualify on the short tracks. And the multi-lane track condition made it interesting. The beginning of the race, I honestly wasn't sure if I made the right choice, but I just tried to stick it out and see what happened, and luck was in my favor tonight.
Certainly, Brandon, before I let you go, who do you have to thank for your win tonight?
This Will Bourbon, Winners Get Whiskey, baby. General Tire, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Rigid, Low and all the guys for hosting the league, you guys here at Virtual Grip Network for doing the broadcast, fiance, friends, and family that work me on, anybody that shares the socials. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for your time, Brandon. Once again, congratulations.
Thanks.
Up next, I believe Marty is caught up with my Different Path Motorsports teammate, J.R. Shepard. Marty.
Yep, JR, just walk us through your race. You were having a fun battle there with William throughout the night, and you were trying to get Zach there for second.
Yeah, just trying to keep the car clean. These dirt guys are really good at being able to ride right up against the wall, but also be able to see the changing track conditions and change their line around. So more than anything, I was just trying to have a clean night, and for the most part was able to do that. So I got lucky a few times with track position in the lane that I was in. I think that helped out a lot to get the top 3.
Yeah, was the high side the only place you were pretty much the only place you could run? Any chances to try and run the bottom, just nothing?
I think the bottom was still fairly good, but it was really tough to run it. It was worse than running probably Oxford Plains in an asphalt car. So very slick down there. You really had to watch how much throttle you were using, and yeah, just really tough. So I think a lot of guys were just trying a little bit too hard and sliding up, and ultimately losing a little bit of grip there. But yeah, you could make it work. I was kind of actually hoping to be on the inside lane for most of the race, but the outside lane actually worked out better with the way the cushion worked out. It kind of fit my driving style just a little bit better.
It was a great run for you, man. Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
Yeah, just thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for putting this on Friday nights, and to you guys at the Virtual Grip Network. We really appreciate what you do, and for making us look good each and every week. And to my team, Different Path Motorsports, and yeah, just thank you guys for what you do.
Absolutely, great run tonight.
Yep, thanks, Marty.
J.R. Shepard with a 3rd place finish tonight. Austin?
Thanks, Marty. We'd like to thank J.R. Shepard and Brandon Proudfoot for their time. Marty, this race was super exciting. It was really awesome to see both the top side and the bottom side working out.
Absolutely. Multi-groove racing, what we expected here. It was a lot of fun to watch tonight. Next race is going to be a really exciting one as well. Next week, Lanier, a track where everyone grew up in on iRacing. That's going to be probably a completely different state compared to how Kokomo was. I know the low side is one of the best grooves there at Lanier, so we'll just have to see what happens on August 12th.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, you mentioned the next BRL Dirt Street Stock broadcast, that one being Friday, August 12th from Lanier National Speedway. That stream goes live at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. The next Virtual Grip Network broadcast is just after this. JR Shepard and I are hopping on a plane to fly to the virtual Fontana Speedway for Auto Club for the Hollywood 500. Of course, as well, tomorrow, the BRL Super Late Model Series takes on Oxford Plains Speedway, the Monaco of short tracks. We like to call them one of them, at least. That goes live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On behalf of myself, Austin Belke, Marty Zakala in the booth, our director, Mike Yao, and everyone behind the scenes at the Virtual Grip Network, thank you so much for watching, and good night.